Gordon Chang, is it a realistic concern that because Iran uses, leaders in Iran often say things like they plan to obliterate Israel, they would like to see it, wiped off the map, that nuclear weapons would be used for that purpose?
Well, I think that what we can say is that the risk of nuclear weapons being used is unacceptably high because we have regimes that are state sponsors of terrorism, as we've just heard. Also, we've got unstable regimes. And so you put that together in a volatile region and you have a mix that, we can't really predict. The Cold War really was interesting because we had two superpowers, essentially two status quo powers facing off. And therefore, that did give a certain amount of stability to this bipolar system. We won't have that in the next era our world goes into, because if we, for instance, did have Iran and Syria have the bomb, we saw that the 6 members of the Gulf Cooperation Council now want to have civilian nuclear programs that could be stepping stones to 6 new nuclear weapons programs. Very interesting. After the Gulf Cooperation Council announced it wants its civilian programs, Jordan announced it wanted one, Yemen then said it wanted one, and soon following that, Egypt said that it was going to step up a civilian nuclear program. So we can see the chain reaction happening. This is not just theoretical. This is happening before our very eyes.
Well, Ilan Berman, we see in Iran that for all of the sanctions that the UN has brought against Iran and whatever pain that may have imposed upon the Iranian people through inability to get certain goods, through injury to their economy, et cetera, that actually the nuclear program is a popular nationalistic program in Iran. Do the people of Iran, have they realized the extent to which the program puts them at risk, that having nuclear weapons means that any deterrence regime is going to mean that you yourself are then targeted with retaliatory nuclear weapons, and this becomes something that's a hair-trigger system?
And I think the answer is no, because to a large extent, the dialogue over the ultimate disposition of the Iranian nuclear program, what it's intended for, what it's going to do for the Iranian regime, has been one-sided. The Iranian regime has been monopolizing that dialogue. If you look at surveys that have come out recently of Iranian public opinion, you do find that the plurality support the idea of a complete nuclear fuel cycle, of their country gaining that capability. But far fewer actually take the next step and say, oh, we believe that that should then be transformed into a nuclear weapons program. In fact, 2/3 of respondents in a recent World Public Opinion poll by worldpublicopinion.org said that, in fact, having a nuclear weapon is contrary to the teachings of Islam, and we won't support it. So the real question becomes, how do you interject yourself, as the United States, as the West, as Europe, as concerned powers in Asia, how do you interject yourself into that dialogue and say to the Iranian people, not the Iranian regime, the costs of this program are going to be economic, they're going to be diplomatic, they're going to be political, but they're going to be real. And to fragment that public opinion, because so far what the Iranian regime has done has managed to take something that is essentially a clerical bomb. It's not a program that provides benefit to the Iranian people as a whole, it provides benefit to the clerical elite, a clerical bomb, and transformed it into a nationalist cause. And one of, I think, our main objectives needs to be to explain the real costs and the real dangers to the Iranian people and the Iranian nation as a whole of having their regime proceed down that path.
I'm afraid that's going to have to be the last word for today. We're out of time. But I'd like to thank my guests, Gordon Chang, author of the book Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World; Fareed Qadri, president of the Reform Party of Syria; and Ilan Berman, vice president for foreign policy at the American Foreign Policy Council and author of the book Tehran Rising, Iran's Challenge to the United States. Before we go, I'd like to invite you to send us your questions or comments. You can reach us through our website at www.voanews.com/ontheline. For On the Line, I'm Eric Felton.